All right, Kirby Smart, Gunnar Stockton, and the Cardiac Dogs win it in Atlanta. They are 2024 SEC champions with a thrilling 22-19 overtime win. This team fights. This wasn't the prettiest win. It was actually ugly at times, but man, Georgia's defense, another elite performance against Quinn Ewers and Texas. Trevor Etienne with 2 touchdown runs. Carson Beck goes down on the last play of the first half. Georgia's down 6-3. In comes Gunnar Stockton in the second half on their first possession. He marches them down the field. They score a touchdown. They're up 10-6. The Horns fought back, and you can make the case they played a little better in this game. Quinn Ewers threw for 358 yards, 1 touchdown. He was sacked 6 times by this Georgia defense that was all over the place. They were phenomenal in this game. You can make the case this was almost as good a defensive performance as it was in Austin. Dalen Everett, the cornerback, made a lot of money today. 2 interceptions. Damon Wilson with a big sack. Chaz Chambliss, Michael Williams, Daniel Harris even made plays. I mean, so many guys on defense stepped up when it mattered most, but this was about Gunnar Stockton. Even after throwing one of the worst interceptions you will see a quarterback throw in all of college football, basically giving Texas life. I mean, they were up 16-13, I think. They were driving. They're almost in field goal range. They could kick a field goal to go up 6 at that point, but yeah, he scrambles and he gets pressure. He throws the ball away. It's picked off. Texas hits a field goal as time expired, I guess, or maybe there was one play left, but they tie the game. We're going into overtime. The Dogs defense comes up big again. Texas is settles for a field goal in the first overtime, and then Georgia comes right back. They march 25 yards, get in the end zone, and they're headed to New Orleans. They're SEC champs for the 3rd time in Kirby Smart's era, 2017, 2022, and now. And again, the doubters were harping all week long. You can't beat a team twice. This Texas team is different. Georgia's not stopping the run. Carson Beck, can't come up with a big performance against Texas. And I thought Carson Beck he didn't play bad. They've got to catch the ball. They got to help him out. The receivers, I thought, came up big down the stretch. They helped Gunnar Stockton out, but Arian Smith had 2 big bad drops early in the game, but he stepped up big. That fake punt in the 4th quarter gave Georgia life. I believe they went on to kick a field goal on that drive, but Arian Smith was part of that. He executed that, and he recovered a fumble that could have been disastrous. I think Nate Frazier was the one who fumbled on the 3-yard line. Arian Smith, I believe, was the guy who jumped on it, and that was dangerous. Earlier in that drive, Anthony Evans fumbles. He falls back on it. I mean, there were so many different plays that could have gone this way, could have gone that way. A lot of them did bounce Georgia's way, but man, they did not give Texas any room to run. Texas had the rushing yards here, 31, is that right? 31 rushing yards on 28 carries. That's not going to get it done. That's not going to get it done. Georgia's stepped up in a big way. UMass ran for 200 yards. Georgia Tech ran for 200 yards, and they told Texas, you ain't running on us. You're not doing it. They played fast, aggressive. They were ready for this game. And, I said this all week. I had a feeling Georgia was going to win. I picked them to cover and win the game. I knew they had it in them. And at first it was same old Georgia, right? Slow starts, not moving the ball. They didn't score their first points until midway through the 2nd quarter. They're dropping passes, and it looked like kind of same old Georgia. But the other side of Georgia that we've seen a lot this year stepped up in the second half. Almost looked like somewhat of a different team offensively. I mean, that Texas defense is for real. They made Georgia earn absolutely everything. But the Dogs found a way to get some rushing yards towards the end. Trevor Etienne had 94 rushing yards, and he was banged up. Nate Frazier had 47. So they found something, but Georgia they couldn't pass the ball. They had 136 yards passing. Texas had 358. I think total yards, Texas won the total yardage amount as well. I can't find it here on the sheet. It should be right in front of me. Either way, Georgia won the scoreboard, but man, you could tell this team was ready. They fought and they clawed. It was ugly at times, and they just had guys step up, whether it was Oscar Delp or, again, Arian Smith late. I thought the offensive line played really well. Drew Bobo, well, they played well until the end. I mean, they fought. They just didn't give up. And, they were getting manhandled by that Texas defensive front early on. Georgia could not run the football to save their life, it felt like, in the first half. But, they got it together, and they stepped up when they needed to the most. And that's what we know about this team. They have fight. They have fight. They have grit. And they're not going to give up. I mean, these are the cardiac dogs. They're going to keep you on your seat, and sometimes they are playing bad football. And there was a lot of bad football out there today. I thought both teams played really hard. They gave everything they had, but it wasn't a clean game. I don't necessarily think either team played well. Both teams were dropping passes. Neither team was super disciplined. A lot of penalties. But, I think both teams were making the officials throw a holding penalty because both were getting handsy, and Texas got away with a lot of it in the first quarter. Then the flags started coming, and I think Georgia said, hey, we got to step it back a little bit too, or else these are going to go against us. But Quinn Ewers, Georgia affected him, but you look at the numbers, one touchdown pass that was on kind of a long, I guess, a 50-yarder. But kudos to Dalen Everett. Raylan Wilson was out there. Malachi Starks had 8 tackles. It didn't feel like he played his best. KJ Bolden stepped up when he needed to. Small Munden stepped up. But Arian Smith had 5 catches, 41 yards. Trevor Etienne had 5 catches. Oscar Delp had 3 big catches. 2 of them, I think, came in overtime. But this team hasn't looked like the number 1 team in the country in a while. But this team can win a national championship, and I've said that all year long. There's too much heart and there's too much fight in this team for them to go away. But again, I probably need to refresh my memory on some of these plays because it felt like there were so many. But you got to hand it to Gunnar Stockton. When Carson Beck went down, you thought Gunnar would come in, and he did. First drive, touchdown. Things are moving. Things are clicking a little bit. He definitely gave Georgia life. And that sideline, man, they were pumped up. They were happy. Carson Beck ends up handing the ball off on the final play for the touchdown. So Carson started the game. Gunnar basically finished it, but Carson was in there on that last play. I mean, he fought through it, and I don't want to hear any Carson Beck slander because he did not get much help at all in the first half. Now, on those Hail Marys, I mean, we almost saw a disaster against Georgia Tech before going into overtime. He's back there, just throw it away. Just throw it away. He got killed. He lost that fumble. Didn't matter. But down here, too, he gets hurt on a play where they just crush him. Just throw the ball away, spike it, get into the half. But he's trying to make a play. He gets crushed. He gets hurt. And Gunnar Stockton comes in and leads them to victory. It was mostly their defense. I'm going to give them probably the most credit, but the fight and determination and the execution late by this offense and Gunnar Stockton helping, just willing his team to victory. He almost got his face blasted off. I thought his head was going to come off his body there at the very end. His helmet goes flying off. It's not targeting. I need to go back and watch it. It looked clear targeting when your helmet flies off and your head's flinging backwards, but what do I know? I don't think anyone knows what targeting is, I guess. But Carson comes in, hands off, game over. But what a thrilling win. And again, I've covered the 7 SEC championship games. This may have been the best one. It was not the prettiest game. It was kind of ugly at times, but it was thrilling. And we didn't have a ton of explosive plays, but if you like defense, if you like hard hitting, there were some shots taken out there. I mean, winners and losers on that field. A lot of guys are going to be banged up and bruised. And Kirby said afterwards, that first round bye means so much because this team is still banged up, and a lot of guys fought through injuries. Monroe Freeling at tackle, Trevor Etienne. You could say Carson Beck battled through injuries. And I don't think we're going to have quarterback controversy. I think Carson Beck is going to start the Sugar Bowl against whoever. He's earned that right. And again, he was putting some balls where they need to be. Guys weren't catching them. Dylan Bell, I thought he threw a beautiful pass down the sideline that I thought Dylan Bell could have reeled in. He's reeled in those passes before. Aaron Smith had 2 drops, and the offensive line wasn't protecting him all that well. But you bring in Gunnar Stockton, it's a different offense, right? You can run with Gunnar Stockton a little bit. He's got some zip on the ball, but he's got a little bit more of a wind up. So on those screen and bubble screens or tunnel screens, Texas was ready for that. And if you can't get it out super quick, it's going to be tough to get that part of the offense going. I think Gunnar Stockton's just a little slow at the release. So when they tried going sideline to sideline, getting the ball out on the perimeter, Texas was ready for it. And again, that's a really good defense, and you have to tip your hat to the way they played. They're one of the best teams in college football. There's no doubt about it. I think they'll probably win whoever they go up against in the first round. I mean, this is a really good team. And Georgia handled them both in Austin. I say handled. They kind of handled them. They beat them physically in Austin. Today they had to outwill them and fight through them. And they were able to get the job done. And they've been able to get the job done a lot this year. I mean, I know they lost in Oxford. That was kind of an ugly loss. They just got beat up physically. They showed a lot of heart and passion and will and determination against Alabama. Could have won that game. You could say they should have won that game. They didn't. They fell short because of what they did in that first half. But in this game, again, battled back. And again, you're down 6-3. Nothing's going well offensively. Gunnar gave them that spark, and he almost threw away the game. There's no doubt about that. That cannot happen. But he fought, and he ran the offense. That was his only turnover, I believe. But him being able to run gives them an extra element. But he made some really nice passes too. And again, he was 12 for 16, 71 yards. He was sacked twice. Carson Beck, 7 of 13, 56 yards. So they couldn't throw the ball much, but they got it done on the ground when they needed to. When guys need to step up, they did. And again, shout out to Oscar Delp and Drew Bobo, who was in on that fake punt. And, Aaron Smith did step up towards the end. He's still got to catch the ball more consistently, but massive win, thrilling win. This is a special team. There's no doubt about it, and they showed it once again. It is hard to win. This team had the toughest schedule in the country, and today they are SEC champs. They fought through it, they battled through it, and now they're in the position they wanted to, right? That the Alabama game doesn't matter. The Ole Miss game doesn't matter. They have a bye in the playoffs. It's up to them to get the job done. They absolutely can. They got the job done tonight. Massive win. A lot of guys get credit for this one. This team they are well connected, and you see that on the field, the way they fight, and the way they never give up, man. And even if you could say Texas played better than they did, but it didn't matter. Georgia's built for games like this, and they showed it. They've been battle tested all year long. They had another battle tonight, and they won the battle again. The Dogs, 2024 SEC champs. Buckle up, Georgia fans. The season is not over yet. Massive win. I'm going to try to get out here. Thanks for watching. Drop your opinions, your comments in the section below. Gunnar Stockton and Georgia's defense leads them to a 22-19 thrilling overtime victory here. 2024 SEC champs. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the website.